Hi everybody, today we're going to show how to use a vacuum gauge to properly set the fuel mixture on a Studebaker equipped with a WCFB carburetor. First thing we want to do is hook up our multimeter to the engine in a tachometer configuration. You can see this is set for 8-cylinder mode. We've got the black hooked to ground, that's the battery negative, and the red lead is hooked to the coil negative. Down under here, these two screws are the mixture screws for the carburetor, and those are what we're going to be adjusting. The first thing we need to do is turn them all the way clockwise until they seat very gently. I'm going to screw them in just until they seat. Not hard, otherwise you damage the seats. Okay, and then we turn them back a turn and a half. And this is our starting mixture. Alright, we're fired up. You can see we're running a little high. Studebakers like to idle at between 550 and 600. So we're going to crank down the idle a little bit. This screw right here is your idle screw. So we're just going to turn that down till we hit 550. Alright, engine's idling right at 550 now. So we're going to turn it off and hook up our vacuum meter. Now, in order to get the proper vacuum to read off of for our vacuum gauge, we need a manifold vacuum source. Studebakers don't have many vacuum sources. You cannot use this one here because that's a ported vacuum source that drives the vacuum advance to the distributor. What you need is manifold vacuum, and there's only one place to get it. If you look down on the manifold, you can see this square-headed screw right there. We're going to remove that sucker, and that's where our vacuum gauge will be connected. Always handy to have a set of crow's foot wrenches. It's come in handy many times, and that's what we'll use to get this plug out of there with. Decent vacuum gauge is good. Don't go for something cheap from Harbor Freight. Get yourself a decent one. This one that I'm going to use here is a Mighty Vac. It's available at Sears and pretty much any other good tool shop. This can be used as a vacuum pump or as a vacuum gauge. We're going to set it up in the gauge configuration, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we've got the vacuum gauge set up, and we're going to, as a matter of fact, I've already done this. You see the tube is equipped with a rubber fitting that just kind of presses into the hole and give it a little turn to make sure it's nice and tight. Well, the car running, and the vacuum gauge, you can see, is hovering there right about 18 to 20 inches. That's pretty decent, but we need to make sure that it's not running over rich. So here's what we're going to do. Lay the vacuum gauge down in a place where it can't fall off into the fan first. And then we're going to carefully go in here and adjust the idle screws. First we're going to turn the first one clockwise until we feel the engine start to stumble a little bit. And we'll hear this when it happens. There we go. Stumbling a bit. And we bring it back up to where it doesn't stumble anymore. And now we'll do the same with the other screw. Turn that in. Takes a little less turning for this one. Turn that back out where it's not stumbling. Let's take a look at the tachometer. Tachometer's dropped a little bit. We're idling about 500 now. We want that at 550. So we're going to turn the idle screw back up until we get to 550. A little too much. There we go. About 56, 57. That's decent. It's right in the middle of our range. And we're going to look at the vacuum gauge, and look at that, dead on 20 inches of mercury. That's about the best we could hope for. 18 and 20, anywhere in there is good. So there you have it. There's how to set your fuel mixture using a vacuum gauge. And as you can see, it's a pretty easy procedure. You just need the gauge itself, a tachometer, and know which screws to turn. And once you're done, you'll be assured of not running too lean, not running too rich. You won't be wasting fuel, and the engine will be happy at the specified RPM for idle. And there we go.